Welcome to the Bird Gang Nation Sports Media Show, repping the greatest team of all time. Let's go! Bird Gang 31, he be the host with the most. We going deep, burning teams. They ain't nothing but toast. Listen, your rest there. Sirianni put me in coach, running like Miles Sanders till I bump my head on the post. Touchdown! Yeah, that's coming. Devontae's crazy route running. Jalen hurting them, throwing lasers to break a young gunning. Come on! On the D side, we ride, sack him with Fletcher, lay him out on the stretcher. No one can protect you. Watch Darius lay him, shutting down your routes. Come on! In my green John, eating Philly cheesesteaks. Put up your cups, wings up, if you can believe. In motion. And Wednesdays, the midweek special got you open with JC from Eagles Talk, hitting like B-Dog, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. Today, Nation, we have a very special guest in the house. You know, he's a host for Jakib Media, and he got his own morning show with the FARZY Show, or FARZY Show. How you doing today, my guy? It's Marc Farzetta.
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. How was your day today?
Oh, just spectacular. Doing a little demo in my house. So I'm knocking down a wall, repointing some brick, man stuff. Having a good time.
Hey, it's always good when you get to, make some upgrades to the house, man. Make some upgrades to the house. I bet you the old lady loves it.
Definitely.
What's your take, man? How you feeling about them Birds?
Right now, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like if the Eagles were coaching the team, Eagles fans were coaching the team, or at least were maybe assistant to the head coach during this entire process, the Eagles would be sitting in a lot better spot than where they're at right now, looking up so far at the Cowboys. Still playoff contention. But, are the Eagles not doing everything over the last 3 games that we've been asking them to do throughout the entire season, which was, hey, take the pressure off Jalen Hurts, run the football with your good backfield behind your good offensive line, and see where you can go from there. And that's exactly what they've been doing over the last 3 games. The techniques, the philosophies, the schemes that they were using against the Lions, albeit, were still schemes, techniques, and what have you that you could apply against the Chargers and have success, although that amounted to a loss. You could apply against the Broncos, and you were able to do that, and that amounted in a win. So being 2-1 in your last 3 games by using a lot of the processes that the Eagles fans were calling for since week 1, it's worked out pretty well for the Eagles. So I'm very happy with where they're at right now. I wish they were in a better spot if they would have listened to us a little earlier in the season. But right now for the Eagles, we're looking up.
Do you think if we were to start to run the ball and, blitz earlier in the year, we have a better record right now?
1,000%. 1,000%. I mean, that's why I'm saying. I mean, I know they always say they like to joke. Front offices and coaches like to joke about how if you end up making decisions to please the fans, you end up sitting with the fans, as they say. Mm-hmm. I think they have listened to the Eagles fans and done what we've asked of them. Done what we've asked them to do for the vast majority of the season. They've done that over the last 3 games when it comes to running the football. Also, when it comes to being more aggressive, defensively speaking, more aggressive. Mm-hmm. For instance, I look back at that Chargers game, and Pro Football Focus put out the number that they actually blitzed 12 times in that game, which are the most blitzes that Jonathan Gannon has rolled out really since the season started. It didn't look like it. It didn't look like they were overly aggressive. It didn't look like they were more aggressive than any other game they had played in this season. But this time against the Broncos, they certainly were more aggressive. And the case I point to is the first and goal from, I believe it was the 9-yard line early in the third quarter. I think it was right before the Eagles blocked that field goal. You saw Jonathan Gannon send 6 rushers. Not 4, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6 rushers after Teddy Bridgewater. That amounted in a horrific throw behind Javonte Williams, throw behind, actually right over his head. They threw off the timing dramatically, and they were able to get the 3-and-out and the blocked field goal on that particular possession. So that's exactly what we've been asking for all year. Be aggressive. You can't, in the NFL, continue to rely on offenses to make a mistake. They'll sit back there, and the likes of Derek Carr or even Justin Herbert will sit back there and pick you apart. If they would have allowed that to happen with Teddy Bridgewater, he would have done the same thing. Eagles were on pace going into this past week to allow the highest completion percentage ever in an NFL season. And Teddy Bridgewater just happened to have the third best completion percentage this season in the NFL behind only Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray, 2 pretty good quarterbacks. They didn't allow him to sit back there in the pocket and be comfortable. They got after him. Sure, it helped that both their offensive tackles were out of this game. Their right and left tackle were out of this game, but they took full advantage of it. So being more aggressive defensively with getting after the quarterback and running the football more offensively has certainly benefited this Eagles team as a whole huge throughout this season.
Who do you think is getting too many snaps, and who do you think is getting not enough snaps?
The next snap Derek Barnett takes is just, again, 1 too many. We're already at however many too many for so far this season. The guy's just a mush. I'm not rooting against him by any means. I want him to turn around. And he had about a month where he didn't get flagged, so that was pretty cool. Now that's gone. He's just – look, I thought it was a bang-bang play. You could argue that he definitely pancaked Teddy Bridgewater when he got called for roughing the passer. And that's something you just can't do anymore in the NFL over the last couple of seasons. He's got to know that rule. But it was a bang-bang play. If he did pancake him, then that's what they ended up calling fine. But he's just a mush. You can't help it if you're a mush. You got nothing. It's just the universe working against you, and the universe is working against Derek Barnett, unfortunately. A guy I want to see, how about this, continue to get snaps is Jordan Howard with Miles Sanders coming back from his injury. I'd like to see him continue to get snaps. I'd like to see Boston Scott continue to get snaps. I want to see Miles Sanders get those snaps, work him back in as he starts to get back into game shape. The guy that I want to see maybe in the backfield getting fewer snaps, Kenny Gainwell. Future guy, not a right now guy. So he's a guy that could take a couple of snaps off. I don't think anyone would complain, but you got to continue to ride the hot hand. That's what Nick Sirianni said in his press conference yesterday now. So watching that is something that I want to better keep a close eye on. That is something I'll certainly be watching, as all Eagles fans will be doing, how they handle the rotation with the running backs. Defensively speaking, Derek Barnett's number 1 on the list as far as not as many snaps. Offensively speaking, I think process of elimination is pretty easy when it comes to guys losing snaps, and that's going to be Kenny Gainwell. Same thing with Jalen Reagor. I know Quez Watkins is the guy that dropped that big pass. Yeah. Unfortunately, wide receivers are going to be dropping passes. That just happens in the NFL. No matter who you are, you look at a great offense like the Rams last night. They couldn't do anything against the 49ers. Guys were dropping passes.
That was a shocker.
Right. Yeah. So that's just what happens.
Yeah, man. Do you think? So you're saying? Do you think Miles Sanders is going to get a hard workload when he first gets back, or you think it's going to be more steady to pace? Maybe he'll get into that 10 carry range. With the rest of those guys all getting about the 10 carry range, like they've been doing, splitting it up between the backs.
I think it'll be around when it comes back initially. I think, like I said, they're going to kind of ease him back into things for 2 reasons. One, it's a smart thing to do when you're talking about individually the health of a player. The other is the smart thing to do is you're talking about a guy getting back into conditioning for game shape, which is a totally different thing. I'm sure you know. So that's something that I think they're going to be focused on. Plus, you can afford to do it right now because Jordan Howard and Boston Scott are coming off 2 great weeks. You're talking about 3 straight weeks with them, Jalen Hurts, running the football extremely well. So you don't need Miles Sanders to come out here and start breaking runs left and right. But the interesting thing for me in all of this, and I was saying on the show this morning, for Miles Sanders, he's never been used the way Jordan Howard and Boston Scott are being used right now in terms of the emphasis of this offense. Say that 10 times fast. Over the last 3 weeks has been the run. That has never happened for as long as Miles Sanders has been a running back in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. So that's something I want to see come to fruition. I think Miles Sanders has always had Pro Bowl top tier talent as a running back in the NFL. But unfortunately, he hasn't had a coach to allow him the opportunity to show off his talent that much. If the Eagles stick with the run game the way they've been doing, then Miles Sanders will finally have that opportunity to prove just how good he can be. He hasn't been able to compile the numbers. He hasn't been able to get, pad the stats. This might be an opportunity to do it. And that's not to say I want to see less Jordan Howard. I just want to see more of an opportunity for Miles Sanders when the time comes, when he's back in game shape, when the Eagles feel like he is ready to really bust a couple of runs for him.
Nice, man. Nice. How do you like Devontae Smith's progress so far?
The first touchdown he had, I always like when you have to specify which touchdown in a game it was for a player. But the first touchdown he had against the Broncos, that was a play by a man. All right. I joke about this a lot, but it's mostly serious. Working with guys like Ike Reese, working with guys like Hollis Thomas, working with Hugh Douglas, listening to those guys talk about quarterbacks a lot of times as they come up, all three defensive players, obviously. They always say, oh, yeah, that's what the quarterback did in college, but let's see what happens when he gets to the NFL and he gets hit by a man, right? Let's see what happens when he has to act like a man in the NFL. Devontae Smith made a man's catch on his former Alabama teammate, Patrick Surtain. When he went up and got that football and the 50-50 ball thrown by Jalen Hurts for the first touchdown, for his first touchdown of the game, that was remarkable. That was, first off, a man's throw by Jalen Hurts, and second, a man's catch by Devontae Smith. I'm loving the progress from him. One thing that I definitely took issue with, he has had some drops this year. I was looking forward to seeing him, still looking forward to him to become stronger as his career goes on, which is something he definitely has to work on. That play was a perfect example of what you will be seeing a lot more of as his career goes on. And as far as the second touchdown goes, that was a play that's the reason the Eagles took Devontae Smith in this draft. That is, if you watch him at Alabama, that is exactly why you're talking about a Heisman Trophy winner. That's why you're talking about a guy that was drafted so high, a top 10 guy in this draft, because of the separation he got on that run. He took Will Fuller to the post on that route and got about 5 yards of separation. That's why you took him in that spot, because he can run routes with such a precise manner. And that's what he did on that exact play. He had perfect timing with his quarterback, who was under a little bit of duress, still delivered a perfect strike to Devontae Smith for that touchdown. So I am over the moon with Devontae Smith, especially coming after this 2-touchdown game.
Yeah. We talked about Quez missing that catch, but do you think Quez deserves more targets his way?
Yes, absolutely. I do. Look, you can't really count that many mistakes Quez Watkins has made this year, and really that's the most glaring one. Was it a huge play? Would have given them a huge, 27-3, 27-10 lead at halftime? Yes, it would have been incredible to get that. That would have been a lot of icing on the cake, but the cake itself in this game was fantastic. I think Watkins is still your best deep threat on this team when it comes to just running a seam and being able to get downfield, run those fly routes, run those go routes. He's still your best bet as far as that is concerned. But when it comes to those precise routes, that's where we're going to be looking at Devontae Smith. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Jalen Reagor streaking down the field, or would you rather have Quez Watkins? I'll still go Quez Watkins.
Quez all day. All day, big question. I'll be pushing for him to get the ball more. He did get more targets last game. I will say that, because they got it to him early and often. You know what I'm saying? So I thought he was going to hit that big one over the seam. That would have been nice. But I still haven't seen the deep ball from him. I'm waiting to see that one. You know what I'm saying? That big, long, 60-yard touchdown run. I think we've been waiting to see that one since, the San Francisco game when he was down there?
Yeah, he had the 98-yard reception, and then Nick Sirianni forgot what plays he had in his playbook in the red zone, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, while we're on Office, what do you think about Dallas Goedert now being the number one guy? And are you interested in seeing more from Tyree Jackson?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Often we make fun of the guys in training camp that it used to be when they were practicing at Lehigh. They used to be Mr. Lehigh. And a guy like Hank Baskett was Mr. Lehigh because he performed so well at Lehigh. Tyree Jackson was a guy that had an opportunity to be Mr. Training Camp this year. I know a lot of guys were really fawning over him in the front office. Unfortunately, he had the injury. So you don't really get to see what they were fawning over. But you talk about a guy, former quarterback, 6'7", huge frame. Yeah, I'd love to see what he can bring to the table. I'm very excited to see that. But as far as Dallas Goedert goes, hopefully he gets through concussion protocol well. I think he has it in him to be a Pro Bowl tight end. Like I was saying earlier about Miles Sanders, I don't know if Miles Sanders will get the opportunity to prove just how talented he is with stats to back it up. I think when it comes to just pure talent, you're talking about a pretty talented guy. With Dallas Goedert, I think you're talking about a lot of the same things because he's had this lot of split a lot of time with Zach Ertz. So this is a great opportunity for him. It sucks that in this particular game where he looked like he was really going to be featured in the game plan, considering he already had 2 or 3 targets at the time. He was hit in the head by Justin Simmons. I think he was going to be a big part of the game plan. You're going to see a lot of those numbers really start to pile up for him. If he can play on Sunday, I think you're going to see a huge game from him, in particular against this Saints team. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
It's kind of like how we got a little taste of Miles before that game, before he got hurt. We're like, come on, man, we're going to see Miles run the ball, man. And then, as you know, he was hurt, man. But it's all good. Like I said, hopefully he'll be back. I heard maybe Brooks will be back this week. Have you heard anything about that note?
I haven't heard much about Brandon Brooks coming back. It seems like they're pretty tight-lipped on that situation. But I will say, you're looking at the people that have been filling in either at right tackle or right guard and left guard. When you talk about obviously you have your stalwarts there with Andre Dillard playing for the most part as your left tackle for a lot of the season before you had Jordan Mailata come back, and then Lane Johnson was out, and you moved Mailata over to the right tackle and that whole thing. I am really impressed with the way Jack Driscoll and Landon Dickerson have been playing in the guard position on this offensive line. I have been thrilled with the way that they have been playing. With that being said, Brandon Brooks, when healthy, when clicking, is the best right guard, second best at worst right guard in all of football. So I really look forward to him coming back.
Yeah, man. I got a question for you here. He said, up to this point, who are 3 rookies that have impressed you the most so far?
With the Eagles?
Yes.
Landon Dickerson? He certainly was. Impressed me a hell of a lot. Kenny Gainwell and his speed in the first maybe 2 weeks of the season was really impressing me. Not so much. Devontae Smith is obviously the guy that's stealing headlines as far as this team has gone. Defensively speaking, I know he's not a rookie, but I look at a guy like Davion Taylor, who they drafted and tried to transition to being the linebacker, and he's been extremely aggressive. That's been great to see. But really, when it comes to rookies on this team, the guys that I think run away with that position right now are looking at guys like Landon Dickerson and Devontae Smith. When it comes to the third, that's a tough one to think of a third one that's really jumping out to be anywhere close to the level of Dickerson or Smith.
Nice. That's what's up. Are you Team Hurts or are you not Team Hurts yet?
I am Team Hurts, absolutely. I always find it comical. Like, why wouldn't you want the quarterback of the future or the next 10, 15 years? Why wouldn't you want him already on your roster? First off, the people that aren't Team Hurts, just think about that for a second. Like, I know the theories are out there about, they have 3 first-round picks. They could do anything they want with 3 first-round picks. They could go get Russell Wilson. They could go get Aaron Rodgers. They could wait and see what happens with Deshaun Watson and then get any one of those guys. I think maybe the only one that would want to come here to Philadelphia possibly would be Deshaun Watson, and I'm not getting near that until we know more about that situation. There's a lot to work out there. So there's 3 guys that people talk about, but I really don't think have a real chance of coming here to Philadelphia. There's a chance in everything, though. And then you talk about 3 first-round draft picks possibly drafting a quarterback. Everyone's talking about Pickett and how great he could be. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing a guy that I want to reach for in this draft and say, you're going to be my franchise. I'm going to use a first-round pick on you. Jalen Hurts, if anything, over the last 10 games of the season, so far this year, I think has climbed the mountain more than he's fallen down the mountain. So he's gotten closer to that pinnacle, closer to that apex of being the guy of the future than he has being the guy that's like, okay, when's Minshew going to get some reps? Like, that hasn't even crossed my mind so far this season. So I think Jalen Hurts has really only helped his cause. And then on top of that, I think his head coach, Nick Sirianni, and his play caller has finally, over the last 3 games, taken a lot of the workload off his shoulders, because I feel like I've been watching Buddy Ryan's offense, which is not a thing. Because Buddy Ryan's offense was, hey, Randall, go make a play. And I feel like they were doing the same thing to Jalen Hurts. Hey, Jalen, go make a play. You can't do that with Jalen Hurts. You need to take some of the workload off. And we're talking about a guy who started 14 games in the NFL so far. You can't do that with him. That's just ridiculous. So to take that workload off of him, give the ball to your good running backs. What's his name?
Sanders?
No, I'm thinking of the iPhone guy. Steve Jobs. He would talk a lot about decision fatigue, okay? How you should wear the same thing every day because it's one less decision to make. You just pull out your turtleneck, your black turtleneck and your jeans, and you go about your day and you invent the Mac computer or whatever the hell it is. So that's something that I think they were wearing and tearing on Jalen Hurts' brain throughout the beginning portions of this season because every play came down to him, as opposed to getting under center, handing the ball to a running back, let them do their thing. Instead of calling RPOs every play where you would just check out of the run anyway and pass, you just call a run play. And they finally,
Yes.
I mean, we go back to the game against the Dallas Cowboys where they gave the ball to a running back twice in the first half. Twice!
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So they've taken a huge amount of work off his shoulders and divvied it up amongst the offense, and he has gotten better because of it. So that's what I like seeing from Jalen. I'm definitely team Hurts. I think in a day and age where we're very conscious of people's mental health, I think Jalen Hurts is mentally on steroids. Like, this guy has the right attitude about everything. You're going to work to be a franchise quarterback? Okay, we're trading Carson Wentz. You're the guy. Okay, I'll be the guy. Oh, well, we might trade for Deshaun Watson. Okay, but no, we're not. So now you're the guy. And the whole time he just says, I'm above it. I'm going to go out there and control what I can control. Howie Roseman's out there scouting quarterbacks at the college level right now to see if there's anybody worth taking in the first round. Jalen Hurts goes out there and gives you the best performance we've really seen from him so far against the Broncos this past weekend. So I think it's impossible to not root for a guy like Jalen Hurts. I hope he's the guy that is here for the next 10 to 15 years. Talent-wise, whether or not he's there yet, if you're asking if I'm handing him a 10-year contract right now, I'm not there yet, but he's definitely getting close to that point. And I think a lot of people were expecting at the start of the season.
Do you think people should hold off that judgment until at least the end of the season, or even maybe into next year before you actually try to think if he can be that guy?
No,
or do you think? Because I believe he's now.
Wait, say it again.
I said because I believe he is now. You know what I'm saying? If it was up to me, I think he can do the job and he can get the job done. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of fans out there that are kind of iffy about it, and then the last couple of games kind of bringing them closer and closer. Because there still seemed to be a little bit of hesitation to jump full board on the guy. And like you said, we're Eagles fans. That's our quarterback. We need to be backing him up 100% of the time. So, but I know some people say they want to wait to the end of the season before they actually, make a full assessment of him. But I think, even with that, it's kind of unfair because, like you said too, all that stuff in the first 6 games, that wasn't anything. None of that stuff was helping him. You know what I'm saying? The RPO 40 times a game, who does that? No quarterback does that. No one quarterback should have to do that. Where you have to make a decision, 3 different options on every single play, 40 times a game. It hurt our linemen. It hurts our passing game. It hurt our running game. You know what I'm saying? So it's now that you're actually giving a balanced offense to Jalen, you're starting to see him perform at a higher level. And I think this is his plus, 20 to 25 passes a game. He's a dual threat quarterback. I always believe that dual threat quarterbacks need to let him perform with their legs, but also give him 20, 25 passes a game. Don't overload his plate with 30, 40 passes. Keep it there. If you got to get in that shootout and you have to throw the ball, then yes, you can't blame him. But until then, keep it balanced. You know what I'm saying? Keep them running backs running. We got a stable full of good ones, so we got to let that roll like that.
Here's where I'm going. As far as the next 10 years, I'm not handing them that contract just yet. As far as next year, I'd be fine with the Eagles moving forward with Jalen Hurts into next year. That's at least what he's earned from me so far, is looking at next year's draft going, all right, this is, or not draft, but next year's season and going, okay, I'm fine if this is our guy going forward into next year.
And what about Nick Sirianni? What kind of job have you think he's done so far? We talked about the 6 games. But do you think he's matured and you were going to see a lot better coaching from him the rest of this season so we can start putting our trust in him being our head coach? Same thing with Jalen. Is he a future type thing? Does he need another year before you make that decision type thing? Or how does that fit? How does he sit with you?
Here's where we're at with Nick Sirianni. Here's my process with Nick Sirianni. Introductory press conference. Who the hell is this guy? What's his problem? Why is he so damn nervous? All right. And then I was like, but you know what? That's not his natural habitat. He's not in the NFL to be a public speaker. He's in there to be a lover of football, a guy that really loves ball, as he would say, and a guy that's not in the locker room yet because that's really his natural habitat. So I'll actually for the first time say, let's wait and see what this guy does. Then the news comes out about the whole rock, paper, scissors things. And I'm like, yeah, hell with that, man. I love that. Everyone was ripping them. I love the rock, paper, scissors thing. Show that you think outside the box a little bit. You got to find a way for these guys to be, well, how competitive are they really in a virtual world? Whatever you got to do, get creative. I love that. The not running the ball thing, especially against the Cowboys. The flowers, we're all flowers, and let's get our deep roots going.
We sprouted, guy. We sprouted already. We're good.
Yeah, I was out on that. Didn't like it even a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like I said, they went two of three. And Devontae Smith's running around, and he's doing the let him hang out symbol, that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, 3 weeks ago, we were talking about sprouting flowers and roots and whatever. And now we're quoting Ghetto Boys, let him hang out, or we gotta let him hang out, that song is. And I'm like, what the hell was that? You couldn't use that instead of the flowers? Come on. But I love it. I think Nick Sirianni has, over the last couple of games, has really known his team well. He's stuck with what works. He has coached to what he has had and not tried to shoehorn them into anything that they are not. I think that's the most important thing for a coach. So over the last couple of weeks, including the loss against the Chargers, Nick Sirianni, let's put it this way, for 3 straight weeks, Nick Sirianni and the offense, they haven't really been the problem. So that's something that we can look at and go, all right, well, this is something we can go with here. So even against the Raiders, you can still get the offense and say, all right, we're moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get over this defensive side. So we got Fletcher Cox, man. Are you satisfied with what you're seeing from Fletcher Cox and the rest of that defensive line?
No, I'm not. And it's tough because I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure how much of this is Fletcher Cox getting older. And I'm not sure of how much of this is Jonathan Gannon's scheme or philosophy, I think would be the better way to put it. As I said earlier, you can't in the NFL just sit back and say, all right, I'm going to wait for the offense to make a mistake. That'll get them. That's how you allow or get on pace to allow the highest completion percentage in the history of the NFL.
Right.
So I don't understand how you don't unleash the beast every once in a while with Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, or send a safety blitz, or have a guy like TJ Edwards who looks like he wants to knock people's heads off. How do you not send him in the backfield more often? So I think a lot of it is scheme with Jonathan Gannon. Hopefully in the second half of the season, he starts to figure out kind of what Nick Sirianni figured out about his quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and figured out, okay, I can't have him do everything and to change things up a little bit here. He did that, and you see the progress on the field. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping Jonathan Gannon does the same thing. I'm hoping that this game against the Broncos was a little sneak peek of what you could be seeing for the rest of the season. And let's not forget, you're not exactly facing the best talent in the second half of the season. So hopefully you'll see a better version of Fletcher Cox. Hopefully he's healthy going forward. Same thing with Javon Hargrave. Same thing with Josh Sweat, as a matter of fact. See what he can do coming off the edge for you. And Derek Barnett's going to play. As much as we don't want him to, he's going to play.
We need him.
You can see, what's that?
Because BG's out, so we need him.
Exactly. So, yeah, we'll see how those guys step up. But just to focus on Fletcher Cox one more time, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is. He had a tackle for loss in this game. Okay. I'd like to see a lot more of him in the backfield. And here's the good news. Last year, even, still under Jim Schwartz, you saw him turn it on more or less in the second half of the season for whatever reason. But that's the way he played last year. That might be what he's doing again now. Hopefully Jonathan Gannon is figuring out the best way to use a guy who should still be his best defensive player.
Yeah, because I thought, it was all because of Gannon, when he was talking about dropping back, covering screens and whatnot like that. And I was like, come on now. And we just seen Barnett covering the flat. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, Gannon needs to stop having any one of these front. I don't want anybody on this front floor of our defense, chasing no running back, no tight ends, no receivers, no nothing like that. They all need to be going forward. Line stunts forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys can't be dropping back. If that's part of your scheme, you got to scratch that part out of the book. And we work that situation, because I think that is a disservice to those type of guys, because that's what they're there for. They're there to get to the quarterback, and put the hits on them. With Fletcher Cox, it's like, after he did that, verbal in front of the media thing about Gannon's scheme or whatever, I thought that maybe that was going to make him play a lot better. I feel like he can't come out and do stuff like that and still only have one tackle in the football game. If Fletcher Cox was getting paid $8 million, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would be like, Fletcher's doing all right, let him do his thing, But when you're getting paid that kind of money to be on this defensive line, I feel like he definitely needs to be producing a lot more.
Yeah. No, certainly. And when I thought the same thing, and a couple of things I took issue with. I think it was after the Raiders game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't get paid to play screens, whatever it was. When he was talking about stuff like that, I mean, you get paid, I think it was $63 million guaranteed was on his deal. Mm-hmm. That's a situation where I think you get paid to take care of a screen. Oh, I don't get paid to talk to the defensive coordinator. That's their job. I think you're a team leader. I think you get paid to talk to the defensive coordinator. So why don't you do both those things? And according to Jonathan Gannon, they did have a conversation. I really haven't seen much come from it yet. Right. So like I said, hopefully this game against the Broncos is just an example of what they're going to do for the rest of the season.
And our weak spot has been the linebackers all year. How do you take? What's your take on the linebackers? Do you think it's more the scheme that's keeping them from being good, or there's just not enough talent there? Because I believe I wanted Howie to go get a freaking star-studded linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Like at the trade deadline, give up one of those first-round picks for one of them if you can. Because I think that is our weak spot for Gannon to run that defense that he liked to run. He keeps remembering the Minnesota days when he had Barr and Kendricks, and we don't have no Barr or no Kendricks on his defense, in terms of linebacker. So I think he needs to adjust to that part.
Certainly, and I think one of the things they need to do, especially, is continue to use TJ Edwards the way they have, because over the last 2 weeks, I've been impressed with what I've seen from TJ Edwards. I've been impressed with what I've seen from Davion Taylor. Alex Singleton, last I checked, was still, I think, 6th in the league in tackles, which isn't always a bragging right. Somebody come up and actually fill a gap. TJ Edwards did that this past Sunday, when he actually stepped up and filled a gap, and believed it was the first series against the Broncos. I can't remember the last time you've seen that consistently. So they have some guys that I think have potential. Sean Bradley is a linebacker, plays mostly special teams right now, had a good hit in this past game against the Broncos. But yes, I would love to see them use one of their first 3 first-round picks, one of their 3 first-round picks on a linebacker, and see if they can get somebody that can come in here and not just plug up holes, but get in the backfield, get sacks. Use as that guy that you're never sure whether or not he's coming in the backfield or not. A guy like, hey, look, Michael Parsons doesn't grow on trees, so I'm not suggesting they go draft him, right? That's not going to happen. But get a guy that quarterbacks are thinking about, very versatile. And I'm shocked a little bit that the linebacker in this day and age has become so devalued because it's such a pass-happy league. But when I think about a linebacker, I'm not thinking about Jeremiah Trotter anymore. I'm thinking about more like Brian Dawkins. Like, where's that guy that can be versatile enough and fast enough to play up front, plug a gap, get in the backfield? And where's that guy that can also drop back into coverage? Again, they don't grow on trees by any means, which is why they're trying to take
like a Patrick Queen.
Yeah.
I was thinking like a Patrick Queen, TJ Watt, one of those type guys, you know what I'm saying? We definitely need to get one. And plus, I think Baltimore got enough of them. They could trade us Patrick Queen over here, you know what I'm saying? I don't think they're getting rid of him, though. What about our secondary? Big play Slay with his 2nd touchdown of the season. You know what I'm saying? If he continues the way he's doing, I could see him maybe get the Pro Bowl nod this year. That would be awesome. We got Maddox playing some great slot football right now. I wasn't even big on Maddox coming into the season, but he's definitely proven me wrong, doing his thing again. Now they don't have him out on the island on the outside anymore. They got him back in his regular position. And Nelson, I'm still not 100% sold on Nelson yet. He's played some decent football, but at the same time, he's been burnt a little bit too.
Put it this way. I'd rather have these 3, including my nickel corner and Devontae Maddox, than Ronald Darby. I'd rather have him. I'd rather have this defense than Ronald Darby, Jalen Mills defense that helped to win a Super Bowl. But I would rather have Malcolm Jenkins. I'd still rather have Malcolm Jenkins. Don't get me wrong there. But as far as corners go, I like this corner tandem better than I did to the ones that actually won the Super Bowl. So I can hang with this. I can hang with what the Eagles have right now. Darius Slay will make a Pro Bowl. I can all but guarantee you that so far this year. The man's got 2 touchdowns already. So that I'm almost sure of. Or not almost. I'm positive of. Steven Nelson has been a good compliment. He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't cost you games left and right. He's had some bad moments, certainly, but for the most part this year, he's been okay. I haven't been yelling and screaming at the TV throughout the season because of what Ronald Darby did or what Jalen Mills did. I've been looking at both these guys at the quarterback position right now saying, at least serviceable. You got a Pro Bowl guy and a very serviceable guy on the other side. So I'm not as pissed off as I have been in years past at the Eagles cornerback position. And Devontae Maddox has been a playmaker. I mean, you're talking about a game against the Panthers. You're probably losing if Devontae Maddox doesn't break up that pass that would have made it 17-3, I think, in the early goings of the second quarter. You're talking about punching that ball out to put an exclamation point on that game against the Lions. You're talking about a game against the Raiders. We actually made 2 big plays, which were some of the last mistakes that Sirianni made as Jonathan Gannon made as a defensive coordinator. So you're looking at 2 big plays that he made on one possession against the Raiders that unfortunately ended up biting the coming back to bite the Eagles in the butt, unfortunately. But we've been playing it all season long, and I can't be happier that he has moved back into that more comfortable position of covering slot receivers instead of being, like you said, out on the island.
Do you want to see more play time for like guys like Kayvon Wallace or even McPherson? Do you think these guys are going to be developing future players for the Eagles, Or you think they're going to always just be that kind of that role, substitution type player for us?
Like we were talking about earlier, Mr. Training Camp with Tyree Jackson, for instance. Zach McPherson was another Mr. Training Camp on the defensive side of the ball. And I really haven't seen much from him. He's played sparingly so far this year. He hasn't done anything that's really jumped out to me to think that this guy stinks. And there's another rookie we can talk about that I wish I would talk about as more as a top one of those top three guys that we were getting into. But he really hasn't done much to, I think, secure a job for me going forward. He showed some signs of potential, but here's the good thing. You got three good corners right now, including who's playing in your nickel, right? Including who's playing with Devontae Maddox right now. So you got three guys playing their positions very well. If Zach McPherson has a situation similar to Jordan Howard, where somebody goes down and he's got to fill in, we'll see how he progresses. But see how he progresses. So definitely future, but not right now. It's a tough lineup to crack, which is a nice thing to say about a Philadelphia Eagles secondary. I haven't been able to say that too many times in my lifetime, so I'm happy to hear that. Or excuse me, too many times recently, because I grew up with Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent that transitioned to Shepard and Sheldon Brown. So that's a pretty decent secondary. So I'd like to see how that comes to fruition right there. So see how those guys mature. As far as, was it Davion Taylor? Who was the other guy you asked me about?
I said Davion Taylor or Kayvon Wallace.
Kayvon Wallace was the other guy. So I know Brian Dawkins doesn't like to talk about him too much, but the last time I talked to Brian Dawkins about him, because I know the Clemson connection, I believe it was Brian Dawkins' son's roommate, if I'm not mistaken. They know a lot about each other. Definitely aggressive, has his own identity. I think it's talking about a guy maturing. I made a play against the Broncos, as a matter of fact. It's talking about a guy maturing, still a potential guy, not a right now guy, unfortunately. But I see them potentially down the line as being starters.
Okay. And then your overall on Gannon in general. Do you think he's going to make it through the end of the season?
I think he is if he does what he did against the Broncos. Like, it's not that hard. Like, Eagles fans, it really sucks because a lot of times people are dismissing what a lot of fans are saying or even media members saying about what this team could be. If you run the football, you can do this. They ran the football and they did that. They were successful. They were a lot better offensively. If you show a little bit more aggression defensively, you're going to look a lot better. They did it against the Broncos. They looked a lot better. To me, I don't think it's really that hard. If you can make a blanket statement about an offense, you could definitely say in today's NFL, with how the rules are solely in favor of the offense, you can't sit back and just say, all right, we're going to give you guys as many opportunities to make a mistake. Because you know what they're compiling in those opportunities? Yards from scrimmage, catches, first downs, moving the ball down the field. Even don't break defenses can't allow as many yards or a completion percentage that the Eagles have been allowing.
You're kind of breaking up right now. Oh.
I'm breaking up?
Yeah.
Am I back? Am I back now?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Even defenses like this, they have to attack every once in a while. They have to get in the backfield once in a while. They have to make it. You can't let a quarterback sit back and be comfortable, because it's never been easier for a quarterback to sit in the pocket and be comfortable. So why am I going to allow that to happen? You have to, as a defense, be aggressive. You don't blitz every play by any means. You're not like the Miami Dolphins blitzing Lamar Jackson 24 times by quarters alone like they did a week ago. No, you can't do that every single game, obviously. But you have to at least let the quarterback like Derek Carr or Justin Herbert or Trevor Siemian coming up this week know that you're going to be coming after him on any given play. You can't just have them sit back there and go, oh, well, it's the Eagles. They're not going to be aggressive in this game. I'm fine. It's all about playing the mind game with those quarterbacks.
And from before the season started till now, are the Eagles where you thought they would be at, or did you have them winning more games by then?
I had them about being a 9-win team. They go 5 through the rest of the season. They could be a 9-win team. So I think that's still very much possible. They're around where I thought they would be. I thought if Jalen Hurts was lights out from the start because we didn't know what he was going to be, then yeah, it'd be a different story. Then you could talk about a 10 or 11-win team. But right now, they're giving you what we ask for every single year. Meaningful games in December. That's what they're going to do next month. They get their bye week. They have to play a weaker schedule. The Eagles have a very good shot at getting the 9 wins, going 5-2 the rest of the year. It's going to start again, obviously, this Sunday. So we'll see how that goes. But they are right around where I thought they'd be. Jalen Hurts, I put this more on the offense. I put this more on the head coach than I do him. Jalen Hurts, I wished was better from jump, but I also wish Nick Sirianni was a hell of a lot better from jump. If that was the case, you'd see a much better version of Jalen Hurts. the early struggles in this Eagles offense, I don't look at Jalen Hurts and say, "Oh, this is totally his fault." No, a lot of it, most of it, falls on Nick Sirianni. And before they won 2 of 3, right? I was looking more at Nick Sirianni, saying, "I'm a lot more worried about him than I am worried about Jalen Hurts."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, facts. So going forward, you say you still have us at 9 wins, about 9 wins.
5-2 the rest of the year, brother.
Who do you think we lose to then? Out of the
All right,
two,
I got the rest of this game. I think they're going to split against the Giants. Unfortunately, I think they're going to. I think they're going to take one of the games against the Washington football team. They're going to split there too, unfortunately, and then they're going to beat the Cowboys at the end of the season because by then the Cowboys will have things so sewn up that game will just be a bunch of backups. It'll be like the Eagles playing the Cowboys in that Nate Sudfeld game right before they went on the Super Bowl run in the playoffs. It'll be like that game, except it'll be the Cowboys not playing their starters.
You don't think the Cowboys, this is around that time where they take that nosedive in the season. They got some hard opponents coming. You don't think they'll slip? Because I still feel like, I might be naive, but I still feel like the division's not locked up yet. We got 7 games left. With our schedule that we have, I think we're going to sweep the Giants and the Washington football team just because they just lost Chase Young. I'm never scared of Danny food stamps. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, things like that just don't scare me. You know what I'm saying? I think, maybe if we get a little bit closer, then we will have to play Dallas that last week of the season, is what I see it as being. And like I said, I don't see us losing to the Jets. That'll be embarrassing. Somebody need to get fired for that one. And then I don't see us losing to the Saints this next week coming up. So it's like one of them things where
I have a win this weekend.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think, I still feel like we can get to when I started the season, I said 12-5, floor being, 10-7. I still see we are 4-6. So one more loss somewhere and we can win out the rest of it. So hopefully they can continue my theory and we get to be the floor and that'd be 10-7. And I think that'll get us into a wild card spot, and like I said, depending on if the Cowboys take their November, December, fall like they normally do, could still be possibly in play for the division championship.
It's very possible. Possible.
Well, all right. I know you got to get out of here shortly, but I'm going to go ahead and at the end of my shows, I like to do an all-time Eagles team. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be your team from as long as you don't watch the team. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say some positions, how many players you need, and then you just fill it up. Like, it don't have to be no stat-wise. It's not about stats. It ain't about nothing. Just your favorite players watching. So we start with
favorite players.
Yeah, watching.
Okay.
So I had a quarterback. Who will be your starting quarterback and who will be backing up?
Randall Cunningham would be my starting quarterback. My backup quarterback would be the greatest backup quarterback in the history of football ever, Nick Foles. Thank you. That is moving on.
Nice. 3 running backs.
3 running backs. Brian Westbrook, that was my era, obviously. Wilbur Montgomery. And then I would go Shady.
Nice. 2 tight ends.
2 tight ends. I go Zach Ertz and I go Pete Pihos. What's up?
Ooh, that's old school right there. You lost me. That's the first right there.
Pete Pihos was, I think, still referred to as a tackle. And they're like, all right, instead of you blocking, just go out and try to catch this. And it worked. So there you go.
4 receivers.
Very tough. T.O. is the greatest wide receiver I've ever seen in an Eagles uniform. And people are like, he wasn't here long enough. And I'm like, yeah, he was here 2 years and he led the league. He led the Eagles in receptions both years. And he fought his ass off to be in that Super Bowl. So yeah, T.O. I'd go T.O. I'd go D-Jax. Tommy McDonald, another old school one. My 4th wide receiver. That's a tough one. Unfortunately, there haven't been great ones. Like, Irving Fryer is a guy I really remember a lot growing up, but I can't go there.
About hard back, quick.
Yeah, quick. No, I was more of a quick guy than a quick guy. I love quick. I am gonna go Carmichael. Carmichael, I met when I was in 8th grade. He came to my school to speak, and then years later, when I was working in radio, I asked him if I could run a lap around the track with him because we'd get there really early. And he was like, yeah, young fella, you can run with me. And the next day I showed up to run. He's like, no, man, this is my me time. And I was like, all right, Harold Carmichael, no big deal. But no, Harold Carmichael would be 4 on that list, yeah.
All right, who will be on your starting offensive line?
Starting offensive line. Jason Peters. Oh, God, what was his name? All tatted up. Oh, I can't remember.
Harriman? Todd
Harriman?
Harriman? Yeah,
Wait,
Taz, didn't he? Todd Harriman?
I don't remember. Was it Brzezinski, the guy I'm thinking of? And then I go Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks at the back. I mean, this is a pretty stacked offensive line right now. Um, I got to put Trey Thomas on there, but he even would look at Jason Peters and say, "You can't put me up there. It's got to be Jason Peters," and he wouldn't play right tackle. So I'd have to go John Running at right tackle.
Nice. Who's going to be that starting D-line?
I mean, Reggie White, and Reggie White. I'm going to go Reggie. I got Reggie White, Clyde Simmons. I got Fletcher Cox is on there. And I guess I got to go Jerome Williams.
Nice. 3 linebackers.
Berge, Bednarik, my era, Jeremiah Trotter.
Right. Yeah. 3 corners.
Sheldon Brown, because I know he'd be personally offended if I didn't put him on there. Sheldon Brown. I love DeSante Samuel. I know people, we gambled too much. Yeah, and it worked. And I'm going to go Troy Vincent.
Troy Vincent, yeah.
Sorry to Gang Green. I know people are like, Gang Green.
Right? Bobby Taylor. No. What about 3 safeties?
Dawkins. Jenkins. I always really liked Mike Zordich. But then again, that's just kid bias. He was a secondary coach for a long time with the Eagles as well. Quentin Michael was here 8 years.
Yeah.
I really like Quentin Michael.
He was here. He did his thing.
Yeah.
I like
there was
that.
not on my list. Macho Harris. Anyway.
Macho.
Yeah, I think that's where I got to go for safeties there. Yeah.
All right. Who's going to be your special team guys? Who's going to be your kick returner, your punt returner, your kicker, and your punter?
J.R. Reed's career might be the greatest travesty in the history of like Eagles return game because they went to a Super Bowl with him, and then I think he jumped over a fence and severed a nerve in his leg. He would have had a great career. Brian Mitchell was obviously here, but I think of him more as a Washington football player. D-Jax was so great in that. You can't think about, Miracle Meadows and all that stuff. Part 3, I think it was, even though they said it was part 2, it was really part 3. Westbrook was great in that role.
Sproles.
What's that?
And the Darren Sproles.
Sproles was great in that role. I think if I had, let's put it this way, to decide it in this manner, where you got one kick for the game, and you're kicking to this one guy, I think it's got to be Deshaun Jackson.
Backs. And then you're kicking.
Kicker-wise, I go David Akers. Punter-wise, I mean, Donnie Donkey Leg Jones is pretty great. Sean Landetta is awesome, but I guess I got to go Donnie Jones. But I'll tell you this: the Cypros, their kicker right, Aaron Cypros right now,
yes.
He's giving him a run for his money. That kid can boot, man.
Yes, I put Cypros in my all-time league right now. Who's going to be your defensive coordinator for this team?
I mean, Jim Johnson has to be for me. I mean, I can't, as much as you want to say like Buddy Ryan, that's a little before my time. I was a little kid, but Jim Johnson was just, I mean, every player I talked to that played for Jim Johnson, like they still think like Jim Johnson. So I got to go Jim Johnson.
And your offensive coordinator?
Hey, man, Frank Reich won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. It's pretty hard not to go with Frank Reich.
And then the head coach.
I mean, Doug Peterson. I go with the guy that won a championship. I mean, look,
over Big Red.
It was 1 year. And I'm like, why should I hold it against the guy that achieved something while another guy just tried really hard to do it? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go with the guy that achieved it. I'm going to go with Doug Peterson because I know when stuff hits the fan through the season, Doug Peterson's going to be there to clean up the mess. So I'll go Doug Peterson.
Nice, man. Hey, that's nice, man. I understand that. That was the first time I heard someone say that, though. He's like, yeah, the guy that almost got there or the guy that actually did it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like it.
exactly.
I like it. Hey, man, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at on all your social media platforms so we can get you out of here, my guy?
You can find me on YouTube, this fine program. The FARZY Show. You can look me up, FARZYShow.com. Also, all social media platforms. The only one I'm not on is that other one, Parlor and OnlyFans. I'm not on OnlyFans, at least not yet.
Hey, man, it's been a blast having you on here. Thanks again for coming on the show. And thanks everybody in the chat. Please like and subscribe to both content creators. You know, we put out that good Eagles fire. So, like I always say, fly, Eagles, fly. Till next time, it's Bird Gang 31, and we are out. Peace.